Can I tell you something off topic? Okay, I'm gonna take a picture. Hang on, I just took a picture. And I want to tell you, as I'm gonna upload this picture to the PTR, you already said I could tell you something off topic to tell you. They fucking changed the license plate. It used to be a beautiful picture of a pine cone and a little bird, and it had beautiful artwork. And it said Vacation Land at the bottom in like a cursive script. It had beautiful artwork. Amir, PTR, hang on, wait. It's still uploading. Okay, now, PTR. This is what they changed it to. Why did they do this? Why did they take away the beautiful artwork and replace it with this boring, literally nothing? Why did they do this? Okay, anyway, I'm gonna delete this photo. We can return to your normal conversation. I just was walking by this fucking stupid ass license plate. It's so ugly and boring. It's like, can we get some? We had like a nice picture anyway.
It looks more cleaner though.
It is very clean, but it's just so boring and sterile. And it's supposed to actually, I'm kind of exaggerating a little bit because other versions of this license plate, they do have a picture of a tree. But sometimes if the numbers are set up in such a way, they just cut the tree out and they just printed it with no picture of a tree. But anyway, it's clean, but it's fucking boring. That's all I'm saying. It's boring.
So I did ask Google ChatGPT about Rothschild, right? If they own any banks. Here's what it gave me. What is true? The Rothschild family historically played a major role in European banking during 18th and 19th centuries. They established influential banks in cities like London, Paris, Vienna, and Naples, and Frankfurt. Today's the family's most notable financial entity is Rothschild & Co., a private investment bank headquartered in Paris with offices in many countries. It is publicly traded on the Euronext exchange. So they do have some investment bank.
Can I say something else though, kind of on this topic, but also, do we still have Wednesday in the house?
Yes.
I want to make sure she's at the computer or whatever. But anyway, Wednesday was talking about shifting the Overton window and basically saying that if we keep talking about Palestine, people will keep thinking about it, and then people will be more concerned about it, and etc. Which is a pretty general idea, makes sense. But I think this is what happens, Amir, is like, there's also the term, there's the Overton window, but you know about the Gish, have you heard the Gish Gallop? It's like a Clubhouse term because a lot of people use it on Clubhouse, so that's where I heard it. But you know what it is. It's when you make a bunch of arguments and you don't have time to respond to any one of the single arguments. So the Gish Gallop is related to the shifting Overton window. In other words, if we keep Gish Galloping all these arguments, eventually the Overton window is going to shift in our direction. And so I think that when it comes to this question of, do the Rothschilds control the banks? I don't know, we have to take all these arguments one by one and find the evidence to support them, but the way
they not control the bank. I just
founded
in Paris and with offices in many countries. It's just an investment bank, like a franchise bank, right?
Of course. They help you grow your money or whatever.
Yeah, that's it.
But what I'm saying is look, when I talk to pro-Palestine people, they have a pile of arguments. They have a pile of videos. They have point after point after point after point. And basically it's like all this random shit, that's like, where did it come from? We just see these TikTok videos. We hear this narrative for 80 years, the Jews and the Bolsheviks and the Balfour Declaration and I'm not riffing effectively, but all of these arguments just come, 1,000 times heard, Amir, 1,000 times. No, I'm saying you've heard 1,000 times the Rothschilds and the banks and the central banks and the Jews and the banks and the Zionists and the banks. And we never really know, like, what the fuck even is this point? People make this point over and over again. They're like, oh, you know, the Jews and the Rothschilds and the central banks, and it's like, what is the point? Like, are we saying the Rothschild family controls all the money of the world, and that's literally what we're saying? Because I don't think there's any evidence for that.
Zach, I did bring up that point. There was Fatima. She brought up that they're going after Iran. Because,
I know, but it's a dumb point, I think.
No, but that's her opinion, right? On this app, we have our opinions.
Well, my opinion is that her opinion is dumb.
No, it's we can agree to disagree. We don't have to call each other's opinion dumb. We can just agree to disagree respectfully.
Hey,
that's how it goes, man. Hey, what's up, Zero?
I just wanted to come on and tell you I just finished reading an article that came out on CNBC today, just now. It says that it says here the Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has ordered a pause in sending the shipment of missiles and ammunition to Ukraine with concern about the U.S.
Your voice is too low, Zero.
Give me a second, hang on.
Yeah, it's much better, much better.
First time I gotta do that sometimes when I come in. I gotta adjust it. People gotta tell me and then I know how to adjust it. Okay, so what it's saying, Hegseth ordered the delay weeks after he issued a memo ordering a review of the U.S. stockpile of munitions, which has been depleted after years of the United States sending weapons to Ukraine to defend against the Russian invasion. And then they go into Patriots. They don't have a lot of Patriots anymore. I'm going to post the article, but I just want to very quickly go over this. He added his, he says here, decision is certainly very unpleasant for us. What else does he say here? Let me see. Well, anyway, he says here in the article that it's both. Oh yeah, here it is. He talks about the Iran. You know, they had to help defend the Ashkenaz people and the Ukrainian people. So now they can't send, let me see, Russian missiles, Patriots, 155 millimeter high explosive howitzer munitions, Hellfire missiles, 250 precision guided missile systems known as GMLRSs, Stinger missiles they don't have a lot of, surface to air, AIM, which is air to air missiles, and grenade launchers. So they're running out of shit, just like we said they would. They're running out of shit, so they can't defend. It says here, he said the United States is supplying weapons to Israel, and that, you know, they're very hard to get. We need them too. That's what he said. So the United States is going to hold back on them.
Thank you for the share. I think I'm going to end the room now. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. And I'll talk to you guys later when I open you.
Okay, bye.
Take care. Have a good one, guys. Take care of yourself.
Exactly.
This is not the norm for the U.S. If you choose this job, you know what comes with it, right? It's just like when people complain it's in the military, you're like, yeah, I don't want to go to war. What did you think your job was? Like, I don't understand. If you know that people have cell phones now and there's a possibility you're going to get put on social media, don't work there. Somewhere else.
And of course, the problem, if someone were to ask me, and no one's asked me yet, well, what do you have against masks besides what we've already said? We've already heard the multiple stories about the imitators or the people that are going out in public pretending to be ICE that are not. And I think that just encourages that type of behavior. So once again, I'll just make a flat statement that I am against any official law enforcement officer wearing masks. I think they should have their ID ready to present.
I agree.
I mean, especially after we had that assassination of that officer going, well, he wasn't an officer, but he pretended to be an officer, knocking on people's door and then killed them. So.
Yes, right, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And happy hump day, everyone. And
Happy hump day.
it seems like they have a policy
Thank
of
you. It's Wednesday, it's our day.
posting videos to social media, right? Because how are we all of a sudden? Oh, let's say. Sorry, I'm late. I just got that. How are we getting all these science videos all of a sudden? It seems like they're the ones that are being encouraged to post on social media. And DHS is posting it on their Twitter and stuff like that. All these videos are going viral. So they are the ones who have a policy of posting, making these videos look very dramatic, like Call of Duty. If you notice, some of these videos look very, very dramatic. And they themselves are the ones posting it and encouraged to post it online.
I think too, even with so much impersonations of law enforcement, you definitely shouldn't wear a mask. I think they do it for. Can y'all hear me?
Oh, we hear you, babe.
Loud and clear.
I think they do it for the sake of, like, let me mask myself, and in the hopes of me masking myself is masking myself is gonna give them a reason to resist, so I can fuck them up, do all kind of shit to them, and then get away with even more stuff. Y'all get what I'm saying?
You know what? I kind of agree with you. At first, I was like, what exactly is she talking about? But, like, if you got a mask on, some of the stuff that's been happening on some of these videos, like beating, kicking, like, this is like, this shit is reminiscent of.
Yes, it's almost like a character in Call of Duty. It's exactly what I think Wednesday was saying. It's a part they're playing, and so they're just falling into that.
And these videos look bad. Like, I've seen videos where they'll grab someone and they're like beating the shit out of these people. I'm like, yo, what's going on? The dude was selling tamales.
Yeah, that's what it is. Like, they're doing that on purpose to, like, fuck them up on purpose because they know they're gonna be resistful. Like, I would be resistful if I don't care if you're in uniform. You coming up to me masked and you're trying to put handcuffs on me, and you're just saying you're not saying nothing at all. Like, I can only imagine the cases of rape that's going on right now. They probably, I saw them running behind this one lady. She jumped the fence, got into her house. Like, this is a whole bunch of bullshit. Like, there's no way you're law enforcement and you are messed up when there's so many cases of impersonations of law enforcement going on. Like, I'm just not with it.
Yeah, it's. Yeah,
There is a case of law enforcement wearing masks in certain situations with SWAT, right? But California has something called it's a Senate Bill 627 called the No Secret Police Act to enhance the transparency and accountability in law enforcement, So there's a conflict right now with ICE in that actual.
So I understand if you gotta wear a mask, cause like say there's some kind of dust storm or smoke, like to cover your. But this is they're like jumping out of vans, have a mask on, like Crystal said earlier, just throwing handcuffs on people, and people are going to be like, what the hell is going on? Not even identifying themselves.
At this bill that just passed the. Oh my God, my service is so bad. Can you guys hear me?
Go ahead, babe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
That big, beautiful bill that just passed. Okay.
You're in the matrix.
Working out bad Wednesday.
All we hear is the big, beautiful bill.
Oh,
Beautiful buildings. If you read it, a lot of money that's being, oh my God, the service is so bad. A lot of money that's being taken from like the FBI and stuff and Homeland Security is being put into ICE. I don't know if any of you know that.
Oh yeah, they approved a bigger budget. The director, they said it's costing millions of dollars to keep him. What is it? For him to have guard security at his home, wherever he goes, because he's getting threats. Yeah, we pulled the.
Who we talking about? Who we talking about?
She was saying that with the bill, a lot of this money is going towards Homeland Security.
Oh, I thought you were talking about one person.
No. A lot of the money is being reallocated to ICE, like from Homeland Security, from the FBI is being reallocated to ICE.
I thought ICE was part of Homeland Security. No.
Yeah, it is.
I know. I think I heard the FBI. Some of the obviously, you know, they don't like the FBI, but the FBI budget is getting reallocated to ICE. And what do you guys think of that detention center that was created in 8 days in Florida?
I think they did a tour of it the other day. I didn't really watch it. Did anybody watch it? They did a tour.
Yeah, I saw some of it, but I think it's bullshit, right? Because for the simple fact, I used to live in South Florida, Miami to be exact, right? For the simple fact that you built this facility and you have a law that still stands in the state of Florida called the dry foot, wet foot law, right? Have y'all ever heard of that?
It has to do with federal protection.
No, I have not heard of it. No.
So the dry foot, wet foot law is so disgusting. Florida legislation has ignored the orders from the Obama administration in regards to the law. Y'all can look it up, but it's real interesting, right? Whereas of course, Cuba is, 50, 60 miles from Miami. Haiti, not too far either, right?
It's 90 miles,
90 miles. My math is off on that. But however, it's not far if we're talking mileage as far as country to country. Whereas you have so many people that escape their countries, Cuba and Haiti, right? Whereas if you're Cuban and you're found in waters and you make it to land, they provide a safe haven for you. Take you, get you refugees, set you up with assistance, gone, right? But if Haitians are found to dry land, they automatically deport them. Coast Guard's getting them the fuck out of there so fast, your head will spin. And living there, I would see it on the news like so many times. So I'm like, okay, they're building this city and they're marking for what they're marking for. And of course, it's something underlying that we don't know. But to have laws like that were abolished, but lawmakers, which of course we know Florida has a heavily high Cuban population, it's like, wow, what are you really doing? Because a lot of the people that live in South Florida, from friends that I have, a lot of the people that ICE have took down, they ran through places like Little Haiti in an area of Miami with no hesitation. Hialeah wasn't really touched. It was so focused on people who were Haitian more so than Cubans.
I've never heard of this before, but I went on the internet while you were speaking, and it says that this law ended 8 years ago.
Yeah, the web for dry foot ended a long time ago.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It didn't end. That's what I'm saying. The Obama administration played into the dry foot, wet foot law ending, and it wasn't into play. I lived in Miami several years for a very long time, where it still happened even after. I only moved from there like 5 years ago.
I think what you're trying to say is like Cubans still got, so Cubans were getting TPS. Haitians were getting that too, Venezuelans were getting it too, temporary protective status, right? So people were able to be quote unquote legal, right? People were granted that status. Is that what you mean?
No, Cubans were getting it.
Yeah, Haitians. Yeah, Haitians.
Haitians were found in the water. I'm telling you, you can even. I'm gonna post a clip from the news. That I'm gonna post it because I live there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna post it. I can show you where they're
Haitians were being sent back.
By the way,
yes.
they're not.
Yes, Haitians were being sent back. Yes, I'm not negating that. However, certain Haitians were able to get TPS, and I think it's 750,000. So that's what Trump just took away recently. He just revoked TPS for Haitians, 750,000 of them, and then for Venezuelans, and he also did that for Cubans, right? So this was just like, this was recently. But Chad, so if a Haitian person came under and they had to file paperwork to get TPS, temporarily protected status, even if they came here undocumented, they could get that status, and it would grant them benefits. You could get benefits if you're on TPS. But now he just revoked it.
So
Yeah.
I Googled it as well, and she's right. The Florida Republicans ignored the federal law that was stopped by the Obama administration. They were saying,
they would.
It said local police and immigration officers in South Florida released the Cubans that were detained at the border or in transit with the assumption they'd be allowed to stay. In places like Miami-Dade County, Cuban migrants were not detained or deported at the same rate as Haitians and Central Americans. And this all happened behind the political ties to the Cuban exile community and the Cuban American politicians. So they did ignore it. They didn't enforce the policy change, and they're talking about how the Cubans represent a powerful bloc in the Miami-Dade County.
Yeah, I would say a lot of the judges are Cuban. A lot of the people in power are Cuban.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Saying like, even so, if this is the case, right? It's a full ban on Haiti. Why isn't that same full ban on Cuba? It's only partial there. If this is the case where, I really care about immigration. Okay, if you're gonna do the damn thing, do the damn thing. But discriminate against people.
But that goes back to JFK, doesn't it? Yeah, go back to JFK. That policy of allowing Cubans to seek political asylum goes back a lot longer.
But even so, Trump placed a full ban on Haiti. Right? He didn't place a full ban on Cuba. He didn't.
I can tell you about it.
He's not going to.
Well, he is sending Cubans back, because I'm seeing it on social media. Maybe not at the same rate as Haitians, but he is sending some back. He did revoke the status of them. But go ahead.
Yeah, so with the Haitians and the Cubans, a lot of this stems from the quote-unquote belief or unbelief that Cubans are quote-unquote better than Haitians for migration in terms of, this is what they say, I'm just telling you, the Cubans are better educated, and Haitians and Cubans are political asylums, and Haitians are economic refugees. They're not as well educated. This is what they say, and I'm gonna go there because I have a big connection in both communities, and they'll whisper Haitians have the ninja, okay? You know what the ninja is, and you have all of that undercurrents running in South Florida, and you'll see, especially after we had Hurricane Andrew, and we saw the migration of more whites drifting further north in Florida, and then you had even more Latinos dispersing even more from South Florida into Broward County. The power base expanded, and whoever was who said that Cubans are in positions of power, that's true. It permeates everything. The mayor, the fire chief, all of most of the district judges. If you go down there to car dealerships, it's a huge, not just political power base, economic power base. You go down there, Little Havana, Radio Marti, it's all over South Florida. And because of this disbelief of how they think that the Haitians are economic refugees and not political, which is not true. I mean, even after Duvalier left, you can still, it's still a lot of unrest in Haiti. It's still people, you go in the wrong area, you're being killed, it's being run by gangs. It's still political unrest, but they refuse to give them that moniker because then they would have to equate them on the same foot as Cubans being political refugees. And then they're brown. I mean, you can't get over that now. Come on, people. And what you're going to see, I predict, you're not going to see the Cubans being deported at the rate other folks are.
Exactly, Lavon. Water is wet. Cubans have always gotten the red carpet, while everyone else is basically, stuck playing the Hunger Games and trying to figure their situation out. That's gonna stay in place, right? Because Cubans have wielded a lot of political power. They're gonna keep helping themselves. Yes, some of them are gonna get deported here and there. When ICE needs to meet those numbers, they're gonna snatch whoever. They don't care. But most of them, there are these like unspoken rules and stuff. And the Cuban people, they're gonna look out for each other. And they really don't give a damn about any other people. You see the Venezuelans came out, because a lot of them voted for Trump. And they feel betrayed because he revoked TPS for them. After they, were big supporters of Trump. But the Haitians knew. The Haitians did not get fooled by that. The Venezuelans got fooled by that. But not the Haitians, because they knew. He called their country a shithole country. Like, he knew, they knew what was up. But the Venezuelans didn't. They tried to play that game, and they thought they were white. They thought they would be grouped with the Cubans because they have a lot of political instability as well. And Trump said, no, you guys are just like everyone else, and I'm revoking your status. So, yeah, that's when they discovered that Venezuelans and Haitians are on the same shitty-ass boat, and they're not the white Cubans that they don't have that white privilege that they thought they had. They thought they were privileged over the Haitians, and they discovered that they.
Yeah, but then you know what else they did? They circulated a picture, an AI-generated picture of Kamala Harris, looking like a comrade or a socialist, and that meme went viral. That meme went viral in the Venezuelan community. So, they think Maduro and Venezuela is communist socialist. So, you didn't see that meme going around last year?
No,
They had
I
in a red
didn't.
beret. Yeah. Red beret, and she was dressed like a comrade, and they were saying socialist. Remember you were saying socialist? That went straight in the veins of those Venezuelans. And that, as well as some issues with women or whatever, and the politicians down there made them not vote for Kamala. But I will tell you, those politicians are still not calling Trump out. They are still not. The Cubans and the Venezuelan politicians down here, they're still not calling him out. They're saying he tricked us, it's not fair. But they refuse to put a name on Trump. And what they're asking for is carve-outs. They're asking for carve-outs for Cubans and Venezuelans. Be damned, the Haitians.
Yeah, and you know what? You know they're canceled. The city of Miami has canceled its elections this year. Have you heard about that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're like, you know what? Fuck y'all. We're gonna still keep it everything as is, and no elections for y'all next year. So there you go.
Are they allowed to do that?
We shall see.
No, but
We shall see if they're allowed to do it. But they've been wanting to just change their elections for a while, and now, of course, that they have a lot of these protests, right? Because they've been protesting outside the city of Miami, City Hall for various things, right? Including ICE over exertion of force. So it's just a coinky-dink that they are wanting to cancel the elections this year. So I think they just want even, they're supposed to do it just even years.
Who's canceling their elections?
The city of Miami? Yeah, they said, you know what? We like this Trump regime. We like this. We kind of like communism over here, low key, but very, very low key. So we are canceling next year's election. Supposedly, it's been a long plan that they only wanted to have elections even years only. But it's coming at a time where people are protesting City Hall regularly because of the ICE protests. People, they've made all these different decisions, and the decisions are all 3-2. It's like very close decisions. So coincidence? I don't know.
I feel like drive. I was just saying, this is my opinion, or just thinking. I feel like that it's a dry run, because the dry run for they're using a lot of these smaller municipalities for dry run. I can't remember which one here in Metro Detroit. One of the state reps put up a challenge to overfill the Hodges right in front of it was a Republican right in front of his Democratic colleague. And that Supreme Court judgment is that legalized same-sex marriage. And that's something that, what's his name? Uncle Tom Thomas, that's what I call him, that he's talked about and Alito talked about. So that's here at a local level. So just my opinion, just logically thinking for me is that it's a test run. I mean, you do it at a smaller level and then roll it out nationwide.
But it is too illegal, because you do have, like, I did hear about it within the past few days, where you do have the Attorney General for the state of Florida, and also the Governor DeSantis, that has told the city of Miami, you cannot pull this off without a vote from the community. Like, you have to have voters to make that voter approval to make that. And then, of course, there are lawsuits to be threatened. And I was thinking to myself when I first read this some days back, like, in order for the governor and the attorney general of the city, it has to be a go on a lawsuit. Like, you will be sued in so many different areas. Like, it might not even be the city of Miami anymore. But I think it's just, I don't know what the greed is for. Well, we know what it is, but I think it's just a sick game that people play just for the importance of the roles that they have. It's terrible.
Well, now some of those are looking at denaturalizing citizens by lack of good moral character, some other quirky, broad-based metrics. So nobody's safe.
I would say that what you're seeing is, hello? I'm sorry, go ahead. I would say what you're seeing is really what the framers have put in place for the Constitution. You're seeing it really play out more so than we have ever in the past. And that started with President Obama and with his challenges to the systems. And you saw that reaction, and now you see with President Trump and how he's challenging various systems. That it was always put in, by the framers that the states would have authority over the government, the federal systems. And there's historical data that show that states can push against the federal government, even down to local. So some of the local your local legislatures, mayors and legislatures, local municipalities can push back against things as well. And that's the way it was intended. And it has come to where we can now see, how the federal really have no control. We may think they have it, but they have no control over a state. Those states can push back and sue and can just go against federal mandates.
I hope a lot of states do that. Like, I hope my state does that.
And that,
I hope New York does that.
and that's up to the people. So, it's really more.
When Bobby becomes mayor of New York City, I'm hoping that his threat to Trump is true. It just denies Trump money from New York City.
So I'm confused. What is the supremacy clause then? Hello? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So what is the supremacy clause if states can just say fuck the federal government? I'm confused.
Yeah, Gary.
Doesn't the supremacy clause say that federal law is the supreme law of the land? I get it. There are going to be limits. The states can they can't just outright say I'm going to ignore federal law. They can challenge it. They can.
Well, I'll give you an example. Okay, right now, as far as marijuana, if you can remember back when California brought that, and it was against the Substance Control Act, which is still on federal, it's an illegal drug, you can't do that. There was a little pushing back and forth, and all the other states were just standing by, watching, because they were bringing it in for medical use. Once California got off the starting line, then you had other states following. Now we're up to like 40 some states that have it for medical use. Then came Colorado, which actually started the recreational use. And it was quiet because the federal government understands one thing. They can flex their muscle. But if the people of a state want something, absolutely nothing they can do about it. They don't have the resources, they don't have enough to lock up an entire group of people who want something. And that's how civil rights actually
So then now you're referring
to change.
So when you're using marijuana, you're talking about the commandeering. So I'm kind of confused. I'm still confused because it's still not the same. You understand?
Go ahead, please explain. Because I'm saying, whenever there's a state or any movement for change, the federal government can't stop it. They can hinder it, they can flex their muscle, but they can't stop it, which is why so many changes to the Constitution. After you get past the first 10, which is the Bill of Rights, you can track the history in which there was muscle flexed and the people brought change. Not all of them is from change, because some of them are just procedural. So my whole many years of studying is watching and tracking how change has come about. in the United States, and how the people, when they understood their power, their power, and everybody else above you is just influence, you can bring change. And that's by not just the enormous amount of people showing up, but how it's organized. Not just the amount of people showing up, but how it impacts the finance side of things.
So no, it's still illegal. What has happened is states have made laws that doesn't enforce their own state police, local police to. So, let me Google anti-commander.
So their rights or powers in the Constitution that are enumerated, right? Those belong to the federal government, right? The power to tax and etc. But the other powers that are not enumerated, right? They're not expressly in the Constitution, belong to the states, such as, for example, the police power, right?
There you go.
So usually, you don't have the right to. Usually, states within states run their police force, right? I think that's one of the reasons why Trump sent the Marines, and without Gavin's authority, and they had to take them out, right? Because states have their own power when it comes to certain things. But ultimately, if something isn't normally done by the state, then the federal government has the power. And actually, the federal government has the power to enforce certain rules when it comes to immigrants, but states also have certain powers. So that's a bit confusing there. So
it's not confusing. To me, I feel like it's like, okay, so if the state says that, for example, we're not going to use our resources to enforce marijuana laws, right?
yeah,
They're saying we're not going to use our forces because this is a federal government law. So the federal government it's going to be on the federal government to arrest. So, and that's why I'm like, same when we talk about these sanctuary cities, and that's why those. So if you're telling your own police force or your prosecutors we're not going to enforce these laws, then guess what? They're not going to enforce it. But the federal government is going to be the one that has to enforce that prohibition when it comes to like marijuana, and like if they decided like we're getting rid of alcohol or whatever, and this state says we're not going to arrest them, guess what? You're not going to get arrested. But if the federal government wants to, they can come in and do what they need to do. It's not going away from the damn actual. It's not saying that the state's doing whatever the fuck they want. It's the federal government is not doing their job. Maybe because they just it's a waste of taxpayer money to chase behind a bunch of people.
Which is exactly what you've actually went right to the point that I'm making, is that the federal government does not have the resources, neither do a state. And I always use, because it sounds too simple, but it is really that simple. If you think about the speed limit, they can't arrest, how many people never drive the exact speed limit? 55 is 55. They can pull you over at 56, 57, 60, but how many people actually drive 55? There's not enough resources. So in theory, we go by theory then. Okay, maybe in, say, Virginia, you feel that, okay, if I'm going, 5 over, between 5 and 10 over, I'm good. Why? Because everybody's doing it. But then you go to another. If you go to another state and if you hit 10, there's a possibility it increases for you that you may be pulled over. And then why? Well, it could be a lot of things as to why they're pulling you over specifically. But that is pretty much as simple as that is. It's the same thing as to the federal government trying to, as you say, police 50 states, which all states are just like a country in its own. No one have to.
But there's no state nullification of a federal law. That's just illegal. That's just it. I got what you're saying, Gary. There's still no notification of a federal law. They can't do that.
No, we just break it if we have to. That's basically the nullification of it. Is that if the legislatures and the government says we're not doing something, there is nothing that the federal government have enough resources to stop a state that the majority of their people, at 55, 60%, is behind something. What would the federal government do? Historically, nothing. Historically, nothing.
So,
Because
I
as you
agree
said,
with you
they're
on
just
that,
not,
Gary.
they can't police it all. So
Wait,
that's how things have changed.
historically, they have done something.
Only, okay, go ahead.
We did. We had a whole civil war. Historically, what the South said, even though it was for states' rights, which states' rights to own slaves, and they left the Union and made their own country or whatever, and we had a whole civil war about it. So historically, they have done something.
No, that's a good point. Now, I have that's a great point because I do use that as part of it as well. So, what was that as far as a country? And we are here today because, the results of that. What happened during the Civil War that changed things, even when someone tried to break away, is because of the people. And if you think about it, the South was winning, were they not? Until when? Until slavery.
I ain't gonna front though. I do remember in the beginning when they did started, some of these states weren't using their local or state police to enforce these medical marijuana. There was dispensary. Y'all don't remember when they were, and this happened under Bush and Obama, where they did those DEA raids?
Sorry, I have a bad memory.
So they did do DEA raids or something. Let me go ahead and Google real quick. Look up some of these. But there was DEA raids in the beginning. Because remember, it was like really, the reason why I remember this is because when I had some friends that was telling me invest in marijuana, it was like penny stocks back then. Oh, it's going to be legalized. And then at the time, my parents was like, no, if you want to do that, do it in Canada. Because the United States is still against federal laws. And then I would see on TV raids. Hold on.
I usually bring up marijuana, but I'll bring in another historical fact too. And thanks for bringing in the Civil War because, as you will see too, it's all about the people. That's because the South was winning. Now let's go to something else. Do a little studying on prohibition, which was the 18th Amendment, and then the 18th Amendment, and then look at the 21st. All between that time, when people want to get their drink on, they amend the 18th. And if you look at what took place and the behaviors of people at that time, that told me everything I need to know as well.
Patty, can I jump in a second?
Happy Wednesday.
Happy
Patty?
Wednesday, love. Go ahead, jump in.
Yeah, my name is L.S. Love. I've been in the legal cannabis industry here in the United States, since the beginning. In 1996, California legalized medical cannabis, and that changed everything. Even though the Schedule 1 of cannabis says there's no medicinal value, that's what changed everything, and states are able to run businesses in medical and recreational, as you know. I believe you're in New York, if I'm not mistaken. And so the only problem is it's still not federal legally, but states do have their own rights to make their own laws, and they're solid.
Right.
And yes, we were getting raided. We were getting raided by the DEA early on in California and other states.
So that means they're superseding the
Wait. But this is the thing.
We're operating, Gary.
It was them not enforcing. It was them. So even with these states, it's them not enforcing using their own law enforcement and that's why I said, yeah, I agree with whoever said that. Was it?
So we do have some federal. We do have some federal checkpoints, like here in New Mexico. I'm in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and New Mexico is legal for medical and for recreational. So there's a couple federal checkpoints for people coming over the border from Mexico and going down from one part of New Mexico to the other. And every once in a while, the feds will stop some people and grab their stuff, but there's nothing really going on. The states have legal rights to make their own laws, and this one is, with cannabis is very important because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Okay, I just have a quick question, and I realize I'm late. I just want to make sure I'm catching up. So, is this a conversation where people are arguing that the federal government doesn't have the power to enforce a federal law that a state is contravening? Is that what's happening? Like a state can have a law, and even if it's against a federal law, nothing's gonna happen? Is that what's happening?
Pretty much, Dr.
Okay.
It's good. And I was telling them it's
That
illegal
doesn't,
nullification.
yeah, that's not true. If the federal government chooses to not enforce the Schedule 1 around marijuana, doesn't mean that they can't.
Okay, if you could explain to me then how they would be able to enforce something that a state and its residents.
Yeah, they could come in there. They could come in there like how they're doing with ICE right now.
Yeah.
The DEA could come in there, read all y'all shit, haul that marijuana up out of there, burn all those marijuana fields, point blank period. That's how they could do it if they were interested in doing that. I don't know.
Is it
I don't know.
justifiable by way of?
It's the law. You're violating the federal.
But the state
Hold on.
is.
Are you gonna ask me a question?
Finish.
Are you gonna ask me a question and answer for me too, or
I didn't answer.
How we gonna play? Okay. So you used the example of the Civil War, right? You don't have to go back that far. You can go back to Brown v. Board, when the Supreme Court said schools had to be integrated, and there were states that didn't want to integrate. They were forced to integrate. They didn't have a choice. They said, these black children is going to the school, sir. You can stand in the door, you can get your people, you can get your weight up, whatever. The National Guard went down there and made sure that the children were integrated into the school. Like, just because they don't do it, it doesn't mean they don't have the power to do it. You can read this in this is my last comment, and then you can come back. You can read this in our documents. There are limits to federalism. So, go ahead.
If I may, just to speak to that, there are two levels here. And you're correct about the civil rights. I was born during that time and also was part of, was impacted by those actions. So here's where, if you look at Civil War and civil rights, it's a civil situation in which numbers matter. What kind of numbers? The number of states that have come together to fight against something for a civil purpose, an end goal. So see, there's lower levels. There's, like I said earlier, 3 levels: your local, your state, and your federal. The power is in your local and state. History will prove that, such as in the Civil War or such as in civil rights. The government got involved as soon as the number of states became larger, or the majority against the minority. Yes, they step in. Makes sense. It makes all the sense in the world. But it doesn't necessarily show they have power. They must have the support, enough support to then move in and flex. Because flexing without that support is just flexing. And that's part of what you see in the history of things. When I speak of marijuana, I usually bring in prohibition. Because one thing I've kind of seen as a trend in history is that although we continue to repeat it, it just looks different. That's the only thing that's different between it. It looks different. But those systems and the way it's applied is the same thing as if you play chess. There are many different ways to open your game and then move to the middle of the game. But you're already steps ahead to try to figure out how to win. That is the systems in which we have here in the United States. The only thing, if you look at history, is when a line is drawn and there's a majority of people on one side and a minority on the other side. Everything above a state is just influence, not power, because the framers wrote it because they fought the Revolutionary War to get away from that. So they made sure they wrote it so that the power is in the people. And where are the people? In the states. And where's the most power? Is the closer you are to your government, the closer you are to your legislatures. That's where you have that power. Then you gather, like they did in the Civil War, you gather, and then you figure out, okay, we're about to lose. Let's bring in slaves. How do we sell this to them so that they will fight with us? Now, you got to think, you go back to the Revolutionary War, a lot of different other people involved. It wasn't just white, there was other countries. Everybody had their, it's chess, right? You go to the Civil War, same thing. You come to civil rights, same thing. There's a pattern here. There's patterns. Watch the patterns, you'll find out. The true power is in us, not a government.
Okay, so hold
Can
on.
I just
Hold on,
follow?
Dr. AG,
Can I
because
follow
we're,
up with him real quick?
okay, and then I'll go because we are
Yeah.
completely derailed from the conversation.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I just want to say one thing quick for the record. It's going to take me 10 seconds. I don't know what kind of history that was, but that is absolutely not correct. When the Constitution says by the people, for the people, they mean the federal government too. I don't know where you got that from, but that is the worst explanation of how our Constitution structures government and how it created and outlined the shared power between states and the federal government. I don't know where the fuck you got that from, but y'all who are listening, do not believe that, because that shit is crazy and it is incorrect. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry, just to go.
Might be a libertarian or something like that.
Okay, it doesn't matter. What was the topic? Because we were talking about ICE and monogamy. Then we got on the civil part and marijuana.
I might be able to ask a question that can bring it back. If I can ask a question that can bring it back.
Hey,
I'm gonna ask a question.
Please.
I'm gonna ask a question that can bring it back, because it might have to do with the alligator Alcatraz and how it is established as a quote unquote like ICE facility, but really ICE has no regulatory authority over it. So it'll all be managed like by the state of Florida, where the national, like the rules around ICE, like for monitoring or anything like that, that won't be controlled by the federal government. So it's basically a state facility. Maybe that's how y'all got on it. Is that?
If I may, real quick,
My bad.
the title, I was in line with the title. I was in line with the title. It says Trump is not your dad. Trump. If I may, please.
No, you may not, sir. You may not.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Sin. I'm sorry.
Other people could go, but I think we were talking about how Madami said that he was gonna withhold taxes. I'm not sure if he said that or if he implied that. There's definitely been a back and forth between Mandami and what can he do? Like, can he override federal law and that type of thing? So I know New York City is a sanctuary city, and that's not necessarily. It looks like Trump wants to remove that sanctuary status or whatever, but I don't know right now how that exactly works. And we were talking about like the enumerated powers, how like the states have the power to the police power, the unenumerated power to police themselves. And so that's why they're not enforcing the marijuana law. So that's how we got on the topic of marijuana, but that wasn't really we were talking about like ICE, what cities and municipalities and states can do versus the federal government.
Oh, okay. So when it comes to immigration, I believe that there's a statute around that says, or there was maybe a SCOTUS finding where it's understood, for some reason it's understood to be the quote unquote law by the federal government and state governments. And this is what Donald Trump is challenging, that states which control the law enforcement within their boundaries are not obligated to enforce federal laws. So when California, for example, says we're not going to help ICE round up their people or whatever, that's because they don't have to lend their resources for the enforcement of federal law. That's the federal government's responsibility. They can't stop them from coming in and trying to enforce it, but they don't have to help them. Is that what you're talking about?
Right, that's what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. And I forget what that's called, but
doctrine.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So they don't have to use. That's what I was using when he brought up the marijuana. I brought up the immigration piece too, where I don't understand when he was bringing up the marijuana, I said, yeah, they're not using their state and local police force, and it's the same in immigration. They have a right to do that, but that doesn't stop the federal government from not being able to do their job when it comes to enforcement.
Yeah, and that's why the Trump administration, I think they filed some lawsuit, or they were threatening the states by saying that the states themselves were breaking the law by not allowing ICE or whatever to do their obstructing, I think that's what they said, because they were directly intervening with the federal government execute or doing their job by arresting these people, because immigration is within their purview, whatever. But yeah, I don't know where that comes from. And I think there was something. I'm not going to mention that because I don't want to get back to that.
So the threat, what was the threat that Montague said? He was going to deny taxes to the federal government?
Huh? I'm confused. What?
What was the threat that Mondavi, I'm saying is Zohan Mondavi said? He was going to deny what? City tax to the Trump administration?
Federal tax? He can't do that.
So, no, what did he say back to Trump? I'm sorry.
Oh, I don't know. That came from Sins on the phone.
Okay. Because the only thing, I'm looking here, the only thing that, the mayor of New York City can do, New York City taxes collect by New York City Department of Finance and New York City Tax Commission, New York City personal income tax, property tax, commercial rent tax, hotel room tax, occupation tax, and sales tax. The mayor has more influence over these taxes due to city council, budget negotiation, and local tax policies. That's the only thing that he has influence on when it comes to taxes. But property tax, especially in Manhattan, is a lot of money. So
But that doesn't have anything to do with the federal. I don't understand.
I guess maybe I have no idea. Like I don't even understand the threat that he was trying to give back. I guess you know what? Let me be quiet and then I'll research it. Forgive me. Maybe he was just talking shit to Trump.
Cities don't pay excise tax. I don't know.
I just chat GPT it and that was what I got.
Yeah, that's fair.
It says, can a mayor stop federal tax payments or collections? No. The mayor can't advocate for tax reform, oppose federal mandates, manage how city collection funds are spent, resist certain federal initiatives like sanctuary policies. But federal tax bypass City Hall entirely. They are collected by the IRS and enforced by federal law.
Right, but cities as governmental entities do not pay the federal. Come on, man. Come on, buddy. Cities do not pay the federal government. Cities pay into their local treasury, and the state exacts whatever the city owes. And then the city, what they do, the state, like the city negotiates with the state around tax and all that stuff, and the state sends money to the federal government. So as a city, you can't be like, we're not going to send the federal government any money. Okay, because you wouldn't send them any in the first place. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what that is.
I think we were
Because
just
that's not
talking if he said that.
Oh,
I hope he didn't say that.
Because that's not how. That's not how the revenue stream works.
Let me go check, see if he said.
Yeah, check and see if he said that. That might have been rumor.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm back. Maybe he might have said, I'm not going to cooperate, and maybe people ran with that, but he might not have said that because, yeah, I don't see how.
You can do that and say, I'm not going to cooperate.
Yeah. As a mayor, he can say, we're not going to cooperate, like with the ice rings or whatever, but I'm trying to get these people to cut my trees.
Yeah, but you know what? I do have a problem with when the federal government holds money back from a state, especially your donors.
I got some breaking news on the alligator Alcatraz. June 27th through the 30th, Friends of the Everglades Center for Biological Diversity, Earth Justice, and Miccosukee Tribe filed a federal lawsuit in the Southern District of Florida. They argue that the project violates the National Environmental Policy Act, NEPA, and the Endangered Species Act. Noting the site is over 96% wetlands, adjacent to the Big Cypress National Preserve, and home to endangered species like the Florida panther. So it's under a federal lawsuit. You can't do nothing right.
Yeah, I think there's some other organizations that's suing as well.
Yeah, and that's kind of the controversy because the Everglades is a national, isn't it a national park or something?
It's just such a sensitive ecosystem. It's the last fucking place you'd want to put a prison or any sort of building structure. Put it in the desert. I don't know what the hell to do.
But also, like ICE isn't a prison. Like it's not supposed to be for punishment. You know, it's not part of our. It's not supposed to be like punitive enforcement. It's literally just detention. Like it's just a place you go to be detained and held until the legal process and procedures run their course. It's not jail. So I don't know.
Hey Doc, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, about 20 minutes east of my house, there is an ICE detention center that is all female in Williamson County. There's 500 individuals at any given time. It operates, it was Core Civic owned, whatever they are named now. But yeah, it operates like a jail and prison, there's no question. And yes, it is not supposed to be punitive, but it is a jail. It is a prison, there's no question about it. They have the rotation, they have the schedule. And we don't really know how to get them out without like direct action or like civil disobedience. And the locals here in the county have broken the contract. So the structure now, the relationship is between the city of like 5,000 people or whatever, 20,000 people, and the federal government. Previously, we advocated a few years ago, several years before COVID, the county was embarrassed because they were on the contract, multi-party contract with Core Civic, that the county just stepped away. But it's still operating, so we didn't even understand. Like we thought that when the county steps away from a city-county federal contract with a private company, we would have expected this location to be gone. In fact, they're thriving and have always been hiring guards. And this population, so this is also like 10 minutes away from like the Samsung site. Samsung spent money, they are investing in 13 semiconductor manufacturing buildings. They broke ground a year ago. That's a big deal. Oh, by the way, the county judge of Williamson County stepped away 4 months ago because he was tapped to be the Commerce Secretary or Small Business SBA Director, Larry Gadd. It's wild. The guy got plucked, and he's now working in the administration. So it's always going to be a prison.
So I did my research, and it says there's no evidence of ever make the there's no record done payments from the federal fund. Instead, the public camaraderie around him news appearance on June 29th. Trump called Madami a pure communist and warned that if Madami becomes mayor, the federal government will withhold New York City federal funds unless he does the right thing. So no, he never said that. Yeah, he never made those comments.
Thank you for clarifying that.
No worries.
So I did find an article where the judge says Trump administration can't end protected status for Haitian immigrants this year. Pretty much says the Trump administration cannot cut off legal status and work permits for hundreds of thousands of Haitian migrants this fall. And he ruled this late Tuesday. The ruling by Brooklyn-based U.S. District Judge Brian Cogan was nominated George Bush, 2006, prevents Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem from following through on a plan to revoke temporary protected status. I'm kind of confused. This can't be a nationwide injunction, right? Unless it's some type of...
Well, it's not. So I think what his finding was, because they sued as a class in the federal court,
Okay.
and I think what he's saying is, what the judge is saying is that the way, like I read this yesterday, but I don't know, had 2 drinks and slept since then. The way that they're trying to do TPS, it's a violation of TPS. I think that's what he's saying. So I don't think it's not an injunction. He's basically saying this is illegal, what you're doing. So it's a violation. He's not saying you can't do it until, he's saying you can't do it at all. So it's not an injunction. It's a way for the people who challenged on behalf of the Haitians under TPS. Because an injunction just says, stop doing this. Oh shit.
So what they got in quotes is plaintiffs have enrolled in schools, taken jobs, begun courses of medical treatment in the United States, and reliance on Haiti's TPS designation lasting until at least February 3rd, 2026. Hogan wrote in a 23-page ruling. The White House says the administration will appeal the ruling, and their quote is, district courts have no authority to prohibit the executive branch from enforcing immigration laws or terminating discretionary temporary benefit programs. DHS argued last week that TPS is intended to be temporary and the environmental situation in Haiti has improved and it is safe for Haitian citizens to return home.
Cold-blooded.
Okay, I'm sorry. I had to get my dog. So I didn't hear what you said, Patty. Did you finish clarifying it? I'm sorry.
Hold on, let me get this to... So the quote is, Hogan sided with the group of Haitian immigrants. The judge wrote that Noam, quote, does not have statutory or inherent authority to partially vacate a country's TPS designation. Hogan said that the DHS secretary cannot reconsider Haiti's TPS designation in a way that takes effect before February 3rd, 2026, the expiration of the most recent previous extension. Plaintiffs have enrolled in schools, taken jobs, begun courses of medical treatment in the U.S. in reliance on Haiti's TPS designation, lasting until February 3rd of 2026. He wrote this in a 23-page ruling. The White House says the administration will appeal the ruling. So this is the White House's quote. District courts have no authority to prohibit the executive branch from enforcing immigration laws or terminating discretionary temporary benefit programs. She added that the administration trusts that this unlawful order will meet the same fate similar injunctions have met in the Supreme Court, and President Trump will continue delivering on his promise to end the exploitation of our immigration. So I did find a clip. Let me go ahead and play this clip real quick. It's not that long. Okay, sure. Well, it's 2 minutes and 29 seconds.
Now at 11, we are on the ground in Haiti tonight, just hours after the Trump administration announced it's ending TPS for Haitians. Those living in the U.S. and right here in South Florida now face deportation. Good evening, I'm Lauren Pastrana. Elliot Rodriguez has the night off. We are the only South Florida news.
Wrong clip. I don't know why it's playing it. Oh Lord, it's so sad. They just got articles. They don't have any videos. But I do see something that's coming from the UN. This morning, Assistant Secretary General for Europe, Central Asia, and the Americas will brief the Security Council on the latest developments in Haiti. So they are doing, they are briefing the Security Council on what it looks like currently. I don't understand how they think it's better, because this is like a death sentence for some of these people that they have to go back.
What I don't understand is why are they deporting people to where did is it El Salvador? Why are they deporting people to El Salvador? And they're not even El Salvadorian.
Because their country said they're not taking. They might have said they're not taking them back. They have said that. Shit, they sent some Asians to goddamn Sudan.
Why do we have to be, responsible for where they go? Like, mind you, they had the privilege to get funded while coming here or while being here. They should have the money to, get to the destination. I don't understand why would America bear that burden, especially when our tax
You know what America did to Haiti? Can I say something?
What just happened?
Can I ask you a question, sir?
When our tax dollars are being involved, that's my thing.
Can I ask a question?
What?
Okay. So, because two things you said. So you said, why, when they were, being taken care of when they were here? Is that what you said? My internet has some static, so is that what you said?
Yeah.
Hello? Can you hear me? Oh, okay. So what does that mean that they were being taken care of? What did you mean by that?
The essential needs to survive in America as far as government assistance. They
Like what?
Government. They
like what government
assistance?
Like what?
Housing, food stamps.
Who said that they were, you know, like...
What do you mean?
You know,
so you saying that that's not true, or?
Yeah, I am. I'm saying that a majority of these people, you ask me, now when I ask you a question, I let you finish, and then I ask a follow-up question. So now, you ask me a question, are you saying that that's not true? So you gotta let me finish the answer, and then you follow up. So I'm saying that because a majority of these people who are being exported, these are people who had jobs. And illegal immigrants, if you're an illegal worker in this country, you can't receive the level of benefits. Yes, if you're an illegal person and you go to the hospital with a broken leg, they're going to treat you at the hospital with your broken leg. If you're one of these people that the state of Texas sent wrongfully to New York City or to Chicago, yes, they're going to take care of you because you have been dumped on them through no fault of your own without the resources that you had when you were in Texas, like a job. So this notion that these people are living on welfare, that's not true. So yes, I'm saying that that's not true. Go ahead.
Obviously that would be true, but there were evidence in the windows exposing.
You're breaking up. I'm sorry.
Okay, can you put an article in the chat? You said Doge discovered that illegal immigrants were collecting benefits.
Illegal immigrants.
Yeah, just go ahead and.
How are they gonna collect?
Hold on, Wednesday. Hold on, Wednesday. Hold on, Wednesday. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I have like terrible connection. But yeah, if you can put an article in the chat that states that Doge discovered undocumented immigrants receiving benefits, I'd like to hear that. Because did they prosecute charges? I haven't seen Doge, push any criminal charges on anybody. So I don't know what you're referring to.
And then the other thing that he said was, why should the U.S. be responsible? They should have money to get them to their destination. My response to that was, the U.S. was their destination, and they did get here. If I'm trying to send you somewhere, it's my responsibility to send you, to make sure you get there. These people aren't choosing to leave. Like, they didn't say, oh, I'm going to go now to South Sudan. Let me save my money up. No. It's like when your landlord evicts you, right? They say, we kicking you out. Your landlord's not giving you money, right? And you know why? Because you violated your contract with the landlord. These people have not violated anything. They haven't okay, so they say, oh, they came in illegal. What does that even mean when you have U.S. companies that are validating these people by employing them? They're not being evicted. They're not being deported. They are being exported. Yeah, and you pay a tariff on that. So if they don't send the people, it's their responsibility to pay for the people. I think sending the people is wrong, but I don't know what you're talking about with that.
Yeah, and also is when people collect benefits, there's a procedure, and you need to show documentation like a social security card and a birth certificate. Yeah, we're not even gonna go into that though Wednesday, because that's a lie. And it's an oft repeated, and that's an oft repeated propaganda lie, so we're not even gonna debate that. If he has evidence that Doge has found that illegals were racking up social services, then he needs to put that in the chat like Sin requested. We'll look at his evidence, we'll read it, and then we'll discuss it. But we're not going to debate that. We're not going to give air for him to continue to spread that misinformation.
Well, see, the problem is 9 times out of 10 people just meeting with their political views. There are biases, like the Republican and Democrat. I don't subscribe to either. I just go to the absolute.
A lot of people are independent here, sir.
Excuse me.
A lot of people are independent, sir, but you're saying things that are not true.
Excuse me. I didn't make any accusation toward any named individual. I said a lot of people speaking in general, and then let me interrupt it, but you would like for me to be on mute to speak, which I did.
Oh no, that was me saying be on mute. That was me saying be on mute. It wasn't her.
Regardless, can I finish my sentence without being interrupted?
No, Sin can interrupt.
Common courtesy. Okay, I'll just be.
All right, nice.
It's the passive aggression for me.
You don't know what you're talking about. I don't know where people get this information. You know, most of those people that were bused were asylum seekers. Texas didn't want to keep them, so they sent them somewhere else. Florida didn't want to keep them, they sent them somewhere else.
Yeah, and the asylum seekers are legally here in the United States for I think about a year, right? And they have to make their case. They have to, sorry, my service is really bad. They have to make their case. They have to show documentation why they seeking asylum, why they're running away from their country to be here. So for the time being, they're legally here. So they're not illegal.
How you doing, David? Welcome to the stage. Did you want to make a comment?
Happy Wednesday, everybody.
Happy hump day, guys.
Y'all must be working. I'm on summer break right now. I don't know what to do.
I'm an expert I'm an expert on Caribbean tourism. I can recommend the destination and activities.
Ooh. Well, yeah, I was thinking about going on a cruise.
Oh, I don't work the cruise circuit. Go on mute, Brian.
I love cruises.
You know those
She's like one
Virgin
of my
cruises
boys.
look good, by the way. Virgin.
I've yet to go on one of those, but
Yeah, one of my line sisters went on a Virgin cruise for her 25th wedding anniversary, and she said it was awesome. And she's trying to get me to go on one for my upcoming birthday, so I doubt it. But I do want to go on a Norwegian cruise though. I want to go on. I think because they have ice skating rinks on their ships, so I do want to go on that.
Norwegian also has the go-kart track on the ship that does the Bermuda cruise.
Yeah, and they are, and I think it was Norwegian was one of the first cruise ships to go to Haiti. It was controversial at first, but you know we have made some inroads with them with the way they were doing that, but they were one of the first. They go up to Labadee.
Can I give my personal opinion with the Haiti situation? I think what the United States did to Haiti was disgusting.
What time?
Especially when they put so many incidents when it kind of took it over and owned its central banking system. When it put a dictator. When it propped up a dictator, like it literally, the United States literally.
Which time?
I'm not good with dates.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I wish I was, but I'm not good with dates. But I think Haiti is. Sorry, my service is bad. Haiti is the way it is because of the United States, and I am not mad at Haitians being here. They're hardworking people, and you know, they're here because the United States destroyed Haiti.
Water, do you have a comment?
No, I was just adding in the chat that seals a beautiful cruise line.
Oh no, I mean about what she's talking about with Haiti.
Oh no.
I thought he was.
This would be
the French.
Yeah.
This would be a classic time to talk about France, Water. This would be the one time. This would be the one time when your railing on France would be appropriate and profound. Oh my goodness, you missed your opportunity.
It's common knowledge, Dr. A.G. that left the clusterfuck dumpster fire that is Haiti right now the way that it is. So I think it goes without saying.
Oh my goodness.
Shout out to y'all.
Oh Lord. That is so funny. Oh God. Oh, so for the people who don't know, when Haiti liberated themselves from the French, right? Everybody knows that. Well, so in 1802 there was the Haitian Revolution, and the Haitians basically beat the shit out of the French and told them, "We about to be free, get out of our country." And Napoleon was engaged. Is that Napoleon? I hope I'm not making this up. Let me take all that back. So the French were engaged in wars in other places too, and so they were losing to the Haitians pretty badly, and so they needed money. So they did the Louisiana Purchase. They sold the Louisiana Territory to the U.S. so that they could get money to fight the revolution. They ended up being defeated anyway. Shout out Henri Christophe. They ended up being defeated. And so Haiti got their liberation, right? So a few decades later, the French decided that, oh, so y'all want to be free? Y'all owe us for your freedom. And they exacted a tax on Haiti. They demanded that Haiti pay them money to be free, which in today's, I think they say it comes to like, what was it like? It was like 357 million or something dollars they had to pay. But what that meant was they bankrupted the country. By the time Haiti paid the debt, which was well into the 20th century, they were bankrupted. So they financially destabilized the country because Haiti was one of the wealthier colonies because of sugar. And so that started it. And then the U.S. did an invasion in 1934. They did an invasion in 1939. They supported the Duvalier regime. Then in the late 80s and 90s, they intervened again with Aristide. So France set it off with their extortion of the liberation tax. And then the U.S. and other Western countries continued. And the U.S. first intervention was in the 19-teens because even during the period of enslavement, really, because they were afraid that the Haitians, who were now free, would come and convince the blacks who were enslaved to get their freedom. So yes, there was a U.S. intervention, major U.S. intervention going back all the way to the 19th century, but the French really kicked it off with the liberation tax, and that's a kind of Haiti history in very short, eclipsed detail. So that's why I was asking Water to comment about the French.
Predictable programming. Yeah, I do not see France's regime lasting much longer. And I wonder, it feels like the house of cards is toppling in order. France, America, Israel, or France, Israel, America, however you want to put it. But it feels like there's like the unholy trinity right now in terms of policy.
Yeah, I overstated. I just looked at my notes. It was like 150 million, which would be like 30 billion today. Yeah.
Hey, all because they can't figure out how to own their own money or just be humble or a good team player or a good neighbor. I don't even know how to put it. Shout out to the resistance. If they just simply represented their women, folks, it always comes back to that. Instead of having Macron and his husband/wife that's been grooming him since 14, I mean, it's traumatic just hearing about it.
There we go. Here we fucking go.
He have awakened the sleeping giant. I'm sorry.
Good morning, Sue. Good morning.
Dr. AG, the way you queued it up for him, you didn't take it, and then it's just like, you cannot make this up.
I gotta say what no one else will. That's the only way I'm gonna sleep tonight. Just say what hasn't been said yet.
Oh, come on, Water. We know you don't sleep.
He be making sense, and then all of a sudden he goes left. I'm like, wait, what?
You don't follow what I'm saying, Wednesday, with the whole Macron, like...
She needs shrooms.
Yeah.
They did not the Olympics. I'm just gonna say that. They did not... just gonna say it. They hide behind homosexuality to be racist, and that's what fucking infuriates me. And that's why they suppress their women out of government through trends, fads. I don't know what the hell to call it. You know, like just fascism.
Did a French woman like dump you or something?
Broke up Wednesday. Okay, it was mutual. Thank you.
Sure, that's what happened.
But I had fun. She had fun. She became very racist when she went back home. But yeah.
Not the spurned lover.
I think so.
Not the spurned lover. Now you turning on the whole country.
Yeah,
You sound like those people. You sound like those ADOS people that hate the African immigrants because a Nigerian woman quit them in 12th grade. What's going on?
That's hilarious. No, it ain't that serious. Before LA, once upon a time in LA.
And she really dumped you?
She didn't really dump me, Patty. I met at an art collective.
Oh my God, Wednesday, you've only been here for a couple of hours and you just cracked the code.
Yeah. That's the only reason why one would be obsessed over a country like that. Especially France.
No, I'm obsessed over many countries.
No, you're obsessed over France. I hate to tell you this. You don't hear yourself.
Water, what was her name? Oh no, Water, you're obsessed with the French. You bring the French into anything. We could be talking about the price of tomatoes and you'll be like, yeah, the French. Yeah.
Yeah. Come on, Water. How's France doing?
No, Lord. Water can give you some French. He can tell you all about the French hostilities.
Maybe that's how I got. Yeah, because I always.
That's how you got radicalized.
Maybe.
Yeah, you were
radicalized. You know what's wild is like it wasn't just her. It was her friends. She was really sweet. Marine and Naime. They came. We were staying in the art, the fashion district that they've been doing the ice raids in LA. So there was this art collective, y'all. It was called the Think Tank. I don't know if anybody's familiar with it. It had a really cool run. They partitioned a bunch of little, they constructed a bunch of rooms for people to stay in. They had a lot of Arabs come and stay. Students, non-students. And what happened was the fire department came, though, and everything was up to code. But honestly, they evicted them and got them all out of there. And I feel like they were setting it up for the fires and shit. But,
oh, Lord.
Yeah, I can't stop about that part. I can't stop.
Oh, Lord.
Because it was such a special thing. We had roof access. It felt like New York.
I think maybe she was your first love.
Was she your first love?
Seems like she's his endless love.
She was my first foreign love.
And his first love.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Aram has figured out why he doesn't like French.
You gotta go to the room. Do you gotta go to the relationship side, Water?
I didn't stay in love.
And register your grievance.
No, we had a beautiful, goodbye. And I don't have any regrets. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so Aram, I can't come up, but Aram, it was actually Wednesday, figured out why he always brings French into the conversation. And it's because he was in love with a French girl, and yeah, she went back home, and he has an issue with her friend.
He was jilted.
Yep.
I like that.
I am not making fun of your pain water, but that is the proper term, you know. In more cruel spaces, they would say that the woman dumped you, but it's more romantic to say you were a jilted lover. It's more literary.
She went back home. I wasn't gonna go to France with her, but you know, they appreciated my art. But the issue was like, they couldn't wrap their heads around American politics. This is kind of interesting. You might find this interesting. Because like the largest urban farm was in LA, and it was the 2 city blocks, and I was like trying to, because they would always bitch about, oh, there's so much homeless, like, and they bitch about the supermarkets, the food, like, where's your markets? Like, I'm like, oh, we got it like once a week. Yeah, but like, what about every other day? So like they opened my mind up to things like that, and which is cool. But it would come, like there would be a threshold where like they wouldn't care about black people. They just wouldn't care about they wouldn't care about us. And I think that's where
Us, Dr. AT, did you hear transracial Korean talking about us?
At the end of the day, I'm
Wait, you're
I'm not
transracial?
down. Right. It was just a real weird thing, because when she went back home, she turned into a different person, and was like very just jaded, I guess. I don't know.
Wait, are you?
He is transracial. He identifies as FBA.
ADOS, because
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'd rather you
I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to offend anybody.
You look like a black man.
We're not doing that. Oh, wow.
Wait, it's ADOS now? What's the E for?
Yeah, these international relationships are very interesting. And I think that as Americans, our sense of our politics is very myopic in some ways. We only see it like from the inside, and when you engage with people who grew up in other systems, and not just like in a casual way, but like when you work with people, or like when you have really intimate relationships with people, and I don't just mean intimate in like the romantic sense, I mean intimate like where you are invested in the person in some way, like as a friend, as a colleague, or partner, whatever the range of that, you gain a kind of perspective, that you don't naturally get just by existing within a system. And it works both ways. Like they become also enlightened to how their systems work as well. Yeah, I'm a big fan of cultural exchange. I think it makes for better citizens.
I will say this.
I'm not promoting passport bros. I'm not promoting that. That's a whole other level. That's like some other stuff. That's some fetishization and exoticization shit. I'm not with that. I'm talking about sort of organically evolving.
Yeah, like good platonic friendships and exchanging cultures and ideologies and stuff.
Yeah, not just tourism, sex tourism.
Right. Yeah, not just go to the country and fetishizing the women and thinking these women are a certain way because you can't get a woman in the States.
Right, or easily manipulated, right? Exactly. I wanted to mention before we move on real quick, because that wasn't difficult to talk about, but I have a confession to say that's kind of difficult to talk about with this. During this time, the way I met her was, I was asleep on a couch, like stoned, like drunk, whatever.
Shocking! You stoned? I can't believe it.
Especially as a kid in my 20s, right? So
No!
My
I'm
head
shocked.
was bag, and I was like always going hard and shit back then. So like, unless it was a dope time, like I'd probably be crashing out, like just as a protest, like this is boring. But anyway, they woke me up and they're like, hey, go play this. Runson wants to play. I was in a band called Black Jesus and the Experimentalists with my best friend, Runson, and they're like, hey, like we're gonna go play a song. I'm like, oh, okay. So I was like always ready, even if I was dead ass asleep. So I get up, grab my guitar, and we go sit by this. You know, he sets us up, puts us in frame. He's a good photographer and all that. So we start playing. This shit goes viral, by the way, but he keeps it private. He's all like colonizing our shit. That really upset me. But song about homelessness. You know, ain't got no home, so I sleep standing up. No time settled down. Anyways, we go out on the fire escape, just kicking it afterwards. You know, everybody was enjoying it and stuff, and then Naime and Marie come out. And then they had like some ex-Jews like kind of following them, and they kind of went by the wayside. Anyways, I'm thinking to myself, oh, okay, me and Runson met some French girl. This is really cool. Smash cut to like 2 weeks later, like Runson was really trying to get with Marie, but it just came out that like, and I couldn't put two and two together, right? Like I couldn't put two and two together. You know what?
I'm sorry. I'm not gonna dramatize your story. Go ahead, Juan. Continue.
I appreciate it. No, you're keeping it interesting because I'm going serious. But it just hurt. He saw through the bullshit that I did, that they were racist. And like I was just thinking, I was like, oh, you know, they just need to, you know, they're from France. They just need to warm up. No, it was none of that. It was none of that. And looking back, I see that. And looking back, I see that. But in the time we ended up breaking up. We ended up breaking up the band because of this. And he said to me, he was like, because I missed a rehearsal. And he's like, oh, you're in love. I'm like, I'm not in love. Like, I'm just having a good time. Like, we're just good friends and everything. But yeah, it was really fucked. It was a really teachable moment.
This is a quintessential. Now I'm being serious, right? Because this is like a quintessential rock and roll story. Where, do you know, like I mean, I can estimate, but there are so many stories in music history about bands breaking up because one of the bandmates gets into a relationship. And sometimes it's like they have a dispute. Yeah, they have a dispute over the same woman, but more often than not, it's that the relationship distracts the person, like, from the band. That's kind of what the bandmates' assessment is. Like, you're so involved with this person, you're not dedicated to the band. Because if you want to make it, you know, you, like, the band has to be your 24-hour, like, thing. The band and drugs. You have to be committed. So in the history of sort of our rock and roll industry, of all those big bands, especially all those major bands, especially like from the 60s to the 80s, there's some story about how a woman like broke up the band or caused conflict in the band. Yeah. That's like a very quintessential music story. Yeah.
Still did.
Like Yoko
Yoko Ono. And then the Eagles like had a fight over some woman. The Beach Boys had a fight over some woman, but they stayed together. Yeah, Fleetwood Mac, yeah. Like, yeah, that's like a thing. I really think you should write that. You should make that like a story.
The song is what it is.
Oh yeah, make it a song.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the Tubi movie.
It could be like Elton John, Tiny Dancer. You know, come on. You could. Do you know that song, Tiny Dancer? Elton John?
Yeah.
Water. Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm about to take away a couple of your cool boys.
I ain't writing a Tiny Dancer style song with my brother Runston. Hell no.
No, you write it. You write it about the girl.
Oh yeah. No, she don't even deserve. I'm gonna write it to my fuck her.
See, this is what I'm saying. Like in the band, that homosociality, it's very important. You are married to the band. It's like the creation of that bond, you know? That's very interesting.
It's very much like a girl. Anybody that's been in a band knows it's exactly like having a girlfriend. You gotta communicate, you know, communication's everything. It's loyalty, and yeah, it's just that simple. It's just another relationship.
Yeah, and I think, that's a lesson we all need to learn. That almost all the relationships that we have, they operate by fundamentally the same rules, right? They're these basic principles. And the degree of investment or how we manage and how those values show up in the relationship, it's different, right? Depending on the intensity of the relationship. So, yeah, I definitely, I would play that on my Spotify.
And he still plays, y'all. I'll put his links in the chat. He's a real cool dude. He's out there. I hope he's still playing right now. The last time I checked, he is.
How many people were in your band? Water. How many people were in the band?
Oh, hold on. My headphones are messing up.
Breaking news. A verdict has been reached in the Sean Diddy Combs trial.
They gonna say it today?
Yep, everybody's standing outside the courthouse right now.
Okay.
Damn, they just got there like an hour ago.
Yeah, you got the breaking news.
Maybe they just needed a good sleep. Come in fresh.
To answer your question, Dr. AG, I got, there's a revolving number, but like a four core members with the saxophonist.
Oh, okay. Because when you said he was a real cool dude, I thought about Michelangelo, Leonardo. Wait a minute, Leonardo does machines. Michelangelo, yeah, he's the radical dude, Michelangelo from the Mutant Ninja Turtles. Sorry. Sorry,
I got that reference, Dr. AG. That was good.
I was having like a water moment where I just kind of went off. Squirrel!
Don't do that.
It didn't get lost here. It didn't get lost.
I love them turtles, the original turtles.
They were great.
And weren't they?
They really were.
And Master Splinter.
I named my first turtle Michelangelo.
See, look at that. I was right on cue. Look at that.
You were. You called it.
I intuited that.
Yeah.
I thought it was immature when I grew up, so I changed it to Spike. See how that happened?
Because, yeah, Spike is so much more mature.
So much more mature.
So, can I ask you guys, do they have any barricades or anything around the courthouse right now?
Yeah, they have barricades in the front.
What channel are you guys watching this on?
I'm watching just Law and Crime. They've been on since 8 in the morning, so I just been watching that live feed, but I'm sure it's in every channel right now since the breaking news just came in. But once again, I just hear again that there's a note, and yes, the note can be the rest of the verdict, but it can also be them asking questions. They just got there.
The note was them telling the judge that they had reached a verdict. That's what
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, so we're watching.
They're waiting for the remainder of the defense team to make it to the courthouse.
Okay.
That's what they're waiting on. And so once all the defense lawyers get to the courthouse, they'll read the verdict. Okay, let's see what's happening here, girl. Let's go. Go get my hair done.
They said that the whole family was praying this morning in the courtroom.
They also said he had high spirits.
Yeah. I am the worst. Needs to be a person. There are moments when I need my dog to be a person so he can help me find things like my earphones. He's not very helpful in that regard.
Probably too.
I was gonna say, I need to look under that bed because he may have gone under that bed and was checking out my headphones under there.
You pissing me off. I got have a dog like bark in my head.
That's the one place I didn't look.
Morning.
Yeah, it's not under here. You got that animal under here. I was looking for this squirrel.
Y'all know they reached a verdict, right?
Oh, I'm waiting.
Yeah. Let's see.
Right up there with my navel gazing. No.
It's not the navel gazing.
I could care less
All
whether
the
this
major
dude.
news networks are streaming this verdict on
Brian.
YouTube.
Are you serious?
Thank you for saying you could.
Yeah, Brian.
And not you couldn't.
We're back to that.
We had a short, interlude discussion of grammar yesterday. I just, my grammar, it's just ingrained in me, like grammar. And one of the things that Dr. A.G. and I were, is it ready?
Y'all discussed that yesterday because we had a discussion in the group about that.
No, that's what I was referring to. Yeah, that's what I was referring to because I don't speak out loud, but my grandfather was an English teacher and an English professor and 3 credits shy of getting his doctorate before he passed away. And it was bad enough for me when I moved up north. I had my southern accent. I was already getting teased about that. Then if I had improper grammar on top of it, oof. So, yeah, irregardless. No, I'm joking.
That's the word that makes me the craziest. Irregardless.
That makes me cringe.
It's like nails on a chalkboard when someone says irregardless. Oh.
I agree.
Yeah, so they don't have barricades directly in the front, but it's just they have them on the side where the family is coming in and out from.
Is there anywhere, well, not that I'm going to pull it up, but live stream, or will you guys be able to put this in? Oh, she got a call.
Well, everybody's live streaming, all the news channels.
Yeah, man.
TMZ even live streaming. This shit is crazy.
Yeah, I'm curious whether I'm not downplaying his acts. I think he's guilty. He's triply guilty and should be tossed under the prison, because there is a difference. But that shit ain't gonna impact my life. What's going on in our political structure, that does. But this ass clown who I'm not calling Diddy, your mama named you Sean, I'm gonna call you Sean. Your bunkmate may call you Diddy. Or
Not the bunkmate.
Take that.
It's on NBC News right now. They're covering it on national news now.
Everyone, ABC, Fox, NBC, TMZ, wake it up. Why are they obsessing? It's crazy.
Well, I think some of this could be also the backlash that might occur as a result of this verdict. Could be a possibility that they're preparing for. I don't know.
Dude, but think about it. They had to pay people to wear free Diddy things. Like, there is no effing. There is no upheaval. You know what I mean?
I'm not arguing with you there. I'm just thinking from their perspective on what they're thinking. And maybe not just in New York. I'm just taking it into consideration in light of the current situation all over the country.
I agree. I just think they overestimated the investment, the American investment, emotional investment in this case.
As Mark was apparently shaking his head a little and looking down. The defense attorneys were standing at that moment and the prosecutors were sitting. I don't think that means anything here nor there. But criminal defense attorney Donna Rotano's with us. And Donna, good day to you. Just that point that Paul was making there about that video in the hotel room in 2016. It's got to be tough for a defense attorney when you see something like that. 17, 18. Oh, gotcha. Donna, if you're with us, go ahead and chime in here. Otherwise, we'll continue our conversation with Paul Morrow. I'm back downtown to CB Cotton. What about that video, CB, and the attorneys and the analysts you've talked to about how much that could injure Diddy's case as we await this verdict?
Racketeering conspiracy charge. In order to convict Diddy on that charge, they told jurors they have to believe and find that Diddy committed 5 racketeering acts. One of those racketeering acts, they say, was sex trafficking, and they pointed to that video as an example of sex trafficking. They say Cassie was coerced into a sex act when that video was captured, and one of the prosecutors said this is an example of how any time Cassie tried to leave, Diddy or someone in his inner circle drag her back. As for the defense on how they address this head on, defense attorney Mark Agnifilo said in his closing argument there was domestic violence. If my client had been charged with domestic violence, he would have pled guilty, but his case was that domestic violence is not sex trafficking and it's not transportation to engage in prostitution. And I bring that up just to show the stark contrast between the arguments being presented here by prosecutors and the defense. The prosecutors say that hotel assault video is a clear example of the force and the violence that Diddy would use on his victims anytime they wouldn't give in to his sexual proclivities. The defense, on the other hand, says yes, it's a horrific example of domestic violence, but it's not sex trafficking. And Bill, I can tell you the mood out here right now. Everybody is anxious. Everyone is waiting on pins and needles to find out whether jurors believe Diddy was behind a criminal enterprise committing what prosecutors say was a slew of crimes over 20 years. There's a huge crowd standing here outside the courthouse, rows of media, rows of press. As you know, Bill, it's not just the media out here. It's influencers, it's YouTubers. There is so much interest in this case that has now now lasted 2 months. Prosecutors calling a total of 34 witnesses, among them 2 of Diddy's ex-girlfriends, former employees, and law enforcement investigators. And prosecutors say their testimony, along with a slew of records, bank, flight, hotel records, salacious text and videos, all prove that Diddy, with his inner circle, created this sex crime ring that committed a slew of crimes over 20 years, especially sex crimes. That's the crux of the prosecution's argument, but we know yesterday jurors were unpersuadable of the top count, RICO. Now we're all waiting to see whether jurors feel persuaded on that charge, whether they're going to find Diddy guilty.
Okay, we have breaking news here, CB, and I just want to tread just a little lightly on this because the jury is being brought into the courtroom now. They are seated in their seats where they have been now for the past 7 weeks. Remember that first charge about racketeering? That's the most serious one. If convicted on that charge, you could face life in prison. That's the RICO charge, Dana. And we're now seeing crossing on the wires right now. Sean Diddy Combs is found not guilty on the racketeering conspiracy.
Count 1, not guilty. Number 2, not guilty.
Yet. Here's another alert. Combs found not guilty. Trafficking.
2 not guilties, 1 guilty.
Ventura. Here's another one. Combs found. Okay, so this is count 2 now. Combs found.
He got 2 guilties. He got 2 guilties, 3 not guilties. Hold on.
No, ma'am, somebody is screaming.
Oh yeah, because you guys are delayed. All right, bye.
To the girlfriend who went by the pseudonym as the name Jane. And CB, I'll bring you in. I just want to read one more alert here because some of this seems to be a bit of a duplicate as it's coming in. Combs found guilty of transportation to engage in prostitution with a former girlfriend who I just mentioned as Jane. So those are 5 quick alerts that just came up on the Reuters wire, and we're waiting more from inside the courtroom as we speak. Does that line up, CB, with what you have down in court?
Can somebody repeat?
So what I'm looking at, count 1 through 5.
Let me see if I can rewind it because this is a live feed. Yep, I can. Here we go.
Now, Combs found guilty of transportation to engage in prostitution. On that charge, you could face
RICO. Now we're all waiting to see what jurors feel persuaded on that charge, whether they're going to find Diddy guilty.
Okay, we have breaking news here, CB, and I just want to tread just a little lightly on this because the jury is being brought into the courtroom now. They are seated in their seats where they have been now for the past 7 weeks. Remember that first charge about racketeering? That's the most serious one. If convicted on that charge, you could face life in prison. That's the RICO charge, Dana. And we're now seeing crossing on the wires right now. Sean Diddy Combs is found not guilty on the racketeering conspiracy charge in this federal case. The verdict on the 4 remaining counts are not read yet. Here's another alert. Combs found not guilty in the sex trafficking of his former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. Here's another one. Combs found, okay, so this is count 2 now. Combs found guilty of transportation to engage in prostitution. Combs found not guilty of sex trafficking. And that applies to the girlfriend who went by the pseudonym as the name Jane. And CB, I'll bring you in. I want to read one more alert here because some of this seems to be a bit of a duplicate as it's coming in. Combs found guilty of transportation to engage in prostitution with a former girlfriend who I just mentioned as Jane. So those are 5 quick alerts that just came up on the Reuters wire, and we're waiting more from inside the courtroom as we speak. Does that line up, CB, with what you have down there in court?
Okay,
Okay. This is very interesting.
And how much time does he get?
Trying to divide.
One is a max of 10, one is a max of 15.
Well, wait a minute. It's too guilty to engage in prostitution. Aren't those the same charges for one for each person?
Yeah, they're one for each person. It's the same charge, but the count.
So don't they carry the same time?
Yeah, they do.
No. It's two. Wait. The prostitution charge is a charge, and wait, what? I'm sorry.
No, so both of the guilties for Cassie and Jane are transportation for the purpose of prostitution.
So those are 10 or 15. Let me look at it now. And remember, that's a max time they can give, but they can also give less than that.
The judge
But the judge
sentences,
can't
right?
go under a certain minimum.
Joe just put in the chat is up to 10.
The judge sentences in New York. They don't do jury sentencing in New York, right? Federal court.
Yeah, it's a judge. So question, can they give 10 for both situations, or they can give 10 and 10, 10 plus 10? That would be my question.
What do you mean?
So there's two different, one is for Cassie, one is for Jane, right? So are they giving?
They're two different counts, so they each carry their own.
Yeah, but it's up to the judge. He can make it. He can make them concurrent, or he can make them sequential.
Right, but each one.
Concurrent.
Right, Dr. Goddess, but I think she's asking, is it because it's charge number 3, is it a total of 10, or is it 10 for each person? And I
No,
think
it has to be for each person.
that's what she's asking. So it's 10 and 10 now.
Okay. I think this was the outcome with the RICO, because they didn't bring in that KK chick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they didn't bring in the security guard. What was his name?